Good afternoon, everyone. This is MA second semester, and the name of the paper is Introduction to Gender Studies. And we're waiting for more students to join in, and we're going to begin in some time. Also, students, this is to inform you that this lecture is being recorded and it will be uploaded on the university YouTube channel, the individual departmental channels, and you can access it anytime from any place you want to, or if you want to revise, or if you have missed anything during the class. So we'll have more students joining in, and then I'm going to continue with what I have been doing previously. Now, since yesterday it has been declared that your classes will also be conducted online, but I have met you a couple of times offline. Most of you have come, and especially Parvez and Kuldeep, and that's when I began my introduction to the paper, where I have already given you a brief understanding of what to expect from this paper. I think that is very important, and that is a starting point for any concepts and papers to develop. So introduction to gender studies, as I told you earlier in my previous lecture, it is a very interesting and also at the same time a very exciting paper. Also, gender studies is an upcoming, it's an area under rigors of research, and a lot of young scholars have been doing their research, especially under gender studies, and have been examining different aspects. Intersectional gender studies has really come up. So this paper then is very, very relevant to our understanding of the society as it is now and as it is evolving. And I still have only 4 students, so I'm waiting for more students to join in. Um, Also, I request Kuldeep, Purnima, and Parvez to please switch on your cameras to ensure attendance. Please do that. You can keep your mics muted. That would be great, but I can have your cameras on. Thank you so much. So you're all somewhere seated in a safe place, I suppose, all of you. Yes, thank you, Parvez. Yes, so you are generally a very sincere lot. So I'm expecting others to join in. Must be somewhere here and there, and hopefully will join us. Yes, Parvez, get back, get back online. You don't have to
Yes,
like
ma'am.
touch and go. Okay. So I hope
Okay.
everybody's doing fine. Everybody's
Yes,
doing
ma'am.
fine at home, safe, right? This is the whole
Yes,
concept, is the whole idea is to keep each other safe, right? So again, after starting from offline, we're again reverting to online. Okay. So, anyways, there is no confusion. I think it is better this way for most of you. Traveling is also not easy in this heat. So, I still want more students to join, but without wasting any more time, because Zoom is also, is a very limited time that we have, just 40 minutes and the session expires. So what I want to pick up today is something that has been discussed with you earlier when I discussed the concept of gender and how the concept of gender is very different from what we have been doing. You had introduction to feminism, the paper, right? And we try to differentiate between the two, that how feminism and gender is completely different. In fact, gender studies is a development. It's a progress, I can say, to some extent, that we have made from feminism to gender, because gender is far comprehensive. It involves different sexual identities under its ambit, which were excluded in the feminist movement, was primarily white women movement, which then later on became more inclusive with women from the third world and black and brown women making assertion and fighting for their rights. So each movement, from its beginning, from its inception to how its journey to where it evolves, is a very it's a very interesting journey. When new things are added up, and it gets more nuanced and fine-tuned, right? So ये discussion हमने previously किया था. What I want to do today is get on to your paper, right? And the first topic that I see is called, what is it called, Parvez? Tell me, what is the first topic that we need to do? Unmute yourself and tell me. Let's have a little bit of interaction.
Patriarchy.
Yes, Purnima is saying something.
Yes,
Ma'am,
ma'am.
patriarchy, masculinity, lesbian. Ma'am, first topic is patriarchy.
Yes. So I'm also
Yes, ma'am.
turning on my video so that you know that I'm also here alive and speaking to you right now. Yes, Parvez, what did you say? What is the first topic that we need to do? Do you know your syllabus well? We have gone through it.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Purnima,
Yes,
tell me. I can't hear you, Purnima. You have to unmute yourself, beta.
Ma'am, the first topic is patriarchy.
You have to unmute yourself. What are you doing, Parvez? Unmute yourself and then tell me. Boli,
the
Parvez.
first topic is patriarchy.
Yes. Say it again.
Patriarchy.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, patriarchy. Excellent. So that's what we're going to do. And Parvez, also, can you do me a favor? Can you again send a message to the group, because I'm connected to the laptop, and
Sorry, ma'am.
Can you tell others, your classmate, to join in the class now? Okay. What about Iram?
Okay, ma'am.
What about the other girls? You know, where are they? You have the timetable, you know.
Ma'am, well, ma'am, Alisa is not well.
Aliza is not well. I hope she will recover. But others can join in, so please join in, okay, everybody. So patriarchy, rightly well said, patriarchy is our first unit. Now, are you a master's student? So it's not that the patriarchy, agar main aapse poochhun, like Purnima, what is patriarchy? Tell me.
Ma'am, men's old basic part.
Basically, men, you said patriarchy is men, and you are absolutely right. It is, patriarchy is basically a man's world. It's a very बहुत ही simple तरीके से, I think that is how we put it. But I'm not going to make it so simple for you now. Okay, you are students of masters, and we need to get into the skin of patriarchy, right? So if I have to tell you that what really patriarchy is, I know you will come up with this definition that patriarchy is basically the control of men, which you are right. Okay, you are absolutely right. But we need to understand how does this system, how does this system work? So yes, patriarchy is a social. It is not just a social. Important thing to note here is that it is social, but it is also an ideological construct. Anything that can happen in a society, or that somehow gets a sanction from the society, is only because it has been accepted as a norm, right? So patriarchy is a social, but it is also at the same time an ideological construct. Okay, and again, there are an important word to really understand here is a construct. Remember, it is a construct. It is something which is being constituted in a society. It is not something which exists as a divine sanction, you know, ordained by something outside this world. It is something which is constructed. You have to understand the constructedness of it. I think as students of literature, as master students, and our future researchers, you need to understand how it is constructed, why it is constructed, and if it is constructed, then obviously it can also be deconstructed. So these are the things, these are the challenges that we need to look into when we talk about patriarchy. As master student, we can't just simply, wash our hands off by saying that patriarchy is a man's world, or it is a control of men over society. That is too simple, and that is too also in some ways misleading, right? So I tell you that patriarchy is, you can note it down, and also because these are the points that you will need to understand and elaborate, is that patriarchy is a social, at the same time, it is an ideological construct. So ideological is something that comes from, it has to be It has to be kind of our minds have to be infested with these ideas. And once we accept these ideas, then these ideas get translated into the customs, the conventions, the rituals, the religions, everything by which we run our society. Right? So again, I repeat that patriarchy is a social and a logical construct, which considers, what does it consider? It considers men as superior to women. So that's the whole idea, that men are superior to women in all aspects, right? In fact, you will not believe there was a time not so long ago where it was thought that women are actually incomplete men. So women are considered, the anatomy of women, was seen as something which is a man. A woman is a man who is incomplete. So a woman was seen with reference to man and not as an entity in itself. So what I'm trying to tell you is that patriarchy as a phenomena, as a concept, as an institution, when it operates and as it operates, and we are in that, even you know we are talking about it theoretically, but we also at the same time that we are in actuality inhabiting this world. So it is for us to really get into the layers of it and look how it operates, because it is operating all right in front of us. And we can say that, of course, women are considered as inferior. Not just inferior, even inferior is a very it's a very gentle term, because women were considered as other, as an incomplete version of men. Okay, so obviously, if it is an incomplete version of men, then men becomes the ideal human being or an ideal, a person, and women then become something that they lack. There is something missing in women, right? And because something is missing in women, for women to become complete or to fill up that lack that it has psychologically, biologically, physically, in all ways possible, it has to be united to man, right? So only a man can fulfill, or only a man can then make a woman complete, who is otherwise will remain incomplete, right? So these were the notions that have circulated, that still exist in our society, and these are the notions and ideas. Again, I told you it's an ideological construct, because then these are the ideas on which our society will make rituals. It will make, its customs and conventions, to, to kind of perpetuate this ideology. All right. I hope you're trying to. I hope you're trying to. You're understanding what I'm trying to integrate. So the social aspect of it and the ideological aspect of it. So Sylvia Walby, she wrote a book called Theorizing Patriarchy, and in which she says that patriarchy is actually a system of social structures and practices in which men dominate, oppresses, and exploit women. Okay, this is Walby saying. I can repeat this quote for you. She says that patriarchy is actually a system. It is a system of social structures, okay, and practices
Yes.
in which, what do men do? In which men, they dominate, they oppress, and they exploit women. So because men are more powerful, why are men more powerful? Is it only because they have it's an open question to you. Why do you think men are so powerful in our society? Is it because they are physically stronger, and or is it something else? Why? What do you think? So? Why do you think? Because you know that anyone who has more power is in a position of oppressing others. Okay, so it is a given fact that men are obviously in a patriarchy. Men are more powerful. So, but where does this power come from? So, if I ask you, is it only because of the physical strength? Is that the kind of power are we talking about, or is it something else? Can you tell me, Kuldeep or Parvez?
Ma'am,
Yes. Anyone? See, it has to be an interactive class. I can't be just talking to myself. Yes, Parvez. ये power कहाँ से आती है?
मैम एज यू ऑलरेडी टोल्ड दैट पैट्रियार्की जो सोशल सिस्टम, तो एक सोशली हमारी सोसाइटी से ही कहा था कि एक पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू, एक माइंडसेट बना हुआ कि मैन आर मोर पावरफुल एंड मैन इज प्रीडोमिनेंट इन like political leadership, moral values, each and everything they just predominant to the woman. That's why I think this power came to the man.
So
कि
yes,
एक ऑलरेडी एक
that's
हमारे
right in
सोशल
mentioning.
सोसाइटी से बना हुआ.
Yes, very good. You just gave a word called leadership also. You just use that word. I think it is important because you see that but it is not just a fanciful idea in a society and a patriarchy. Men certainly do have more power, and this power comes from the fact that they have more access and more privilege to the resources, okay, to the practices, to the systems, to the governance, to the economy, to the polity, to everything. And that obviously when they do have more access and more power in that, then obviously women are they become secondary citizens. So it is not just, it is सिर्फ एक imaginary concept नहीं है, it is something which is very very real, and which many women and feminist group are fighting against. Anyways, so patriarchy then, as you said, also is based on a system of power relations. So this is what I wanted to come to at. एक power relation है जो बहुत ही हायरार्कियल, मतलब क्या होता है हायरार्की, क्या होती है जिसमें सब लोग इक्वल नहीं होते हैं. somebody is at the highest rung, then उससे नीचे होता है, and उसे एक pyramid जैसा structure होता है, that is called hierarchy. So patriarchy हायरार्कियल इंस्टीट्यूट है, और पावर रिलेशन उसमें ऑपरेट करती हैं, और अनइक्वल है, ये इक्वालिटी बिल्कुल नहीं है, बिकॉज मेन आर कंट्रोलिंग women. So men are not only controlling the society, men are not only controlling the society in general, if we look at the infrastructure and the other things, as you also pointed out, but men are also in control of women. Now that's where I want to come to at, because that is the crux of patriarchy, because men are actually in control of women's production, reproduction, and even women's sexuality. All right. So, and this, what happens, this is that when the bodies of women are in control of the men, then what happens? It imposes. What does it do? It imposes certain kind of stereotypes. अब हमारी society में stereotypes जो इतने prevalent हैं about masculinity, about femininity, if you're a woman, you have to dress like this, talk like this, sit like this, walk like this, laugh like this, or the be lady-like. Where do we get these terms? Many of it is other stereotypes, and these stereotypes are what should I say? They are the instruments, of a patriarchal society, and because they have, as I yesterday also, we were in my class, we had an offline class, and I explained to you the binary divisions of masculinity and femininity, and these binaries have been strengthened by the patriarchal, system, society, where these stereotypes are made. Okay, and of course it then, what does it do? These stereotypes क्यों इतने जरूरी होते हैं एक patriarchal institution के लिए? These stereotypes of masculinity and femininity, अगर men हैं तो they have to be like so strong, men do not cry, boys don't cry, men cannot do this, men cannot be soft, or boys are not supposed to play with the dolls, or girls are not supposed to play with the with the cars, or all these kind of things. These are divisions हमने बनाए हैं, like the blue is for boys and pink is for girls, all these things right from the childhood. I mean, this begins right from the day the child is born. According to their gender, if it is a male or a female, you decide the color of their clothes, don't you? Don't you? I mean, we all do this in a society. If it's a girl, it has to be a pink. If it's a boy, it has to be blue, right? So it just starts from right there. It's right there. We begin the stereotyping, and we begin these kind of gendered kind of segregation, in our society. So I don't want to get into the gender because I discussed that yesterday. I want to focus today only on patriarchy. So coming back to it. So again, the notions of masculinity, कैसी होनी चाहिए, masculinity में क्या होना चाहिए, or Fezin Fatima has come in, and femininity में क्या होना चाहिए, उसके क्या qualities हैं, like a woman who's very strong, or a woman who is an athlete, or who's muscular, is not considered as feminine, right? She's not a girl, so उसको feminine नहीं कहा जाता है. और आज की जो standards हैं, size 0, girls are the celebrities, and everywhere you say size 0, girls have to go down to size 0. What is this? Size 0 doesn't exist, biologically impossible, to come to that size, but girls do that. These fads operate, and these fads also are part of the stereotypes that we have made. Okay, stereotypes of beauty. Okay, anyways, so that's just few examples, but so what does it do? It really does, again, ये stereotypes जो है masculinity और femininity के, ये strengthen करते हैं unequal relationship between men and women. Men and women का relationship जो है patriarchy में equal level पे नहीं है, right? आप अपनी ही family में देख लीजिए, and that would be a great example of at what position your mother is and at what position your father is. So if I ask anyone in this class that who is the decision maker in your family, I think most of the answers that I'm going to get is going to be your father, right? Father.
Mother.
Yes, Purnima, you have to say something?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Mother.
what? Your mother?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm so happy to hear that. But is your mother working?
Yes, ma'am. My mother is working.
Your mother is working. Now, the reason why I ask this question is because there's certainly a relation. जब हम कहते हैं कि कौन है डिसीजन मेकर फैमिली में, तो आप सब बोलते हैं फादर इज द डिसीजन मेकर. Father decision maker है because also one of the reason because father is the earning member. He's the one who's getting the money. So you have to understand this relationship. Purnima said that my mother is the decision maker. Okay. So again, she also mentioned that she's earning, right? So you see that financial independence to a great extent matters. आपका जो relationship है between men and women में, उसमें your financial interdependence या financial independence बहुत जरूरी होता है. But Purnima has given me example. I know families where women are working, but they still are not the decision makers, right? The decision still is in the hands of the male head of the family mostly. So this happens, and women also very quietly give into that. And many women feel that they are not they're not capable of taking decisions, right? And ये एक और reason है कि अगर आप देखेंगे कि although so many women have come up and we talk about women empowerment and jobs में भी women आ रही हैं, but at top level हम women दिखती हैं. Like how many women CEO do you find in a company? Very few. You can actually count them on your fingertips. Like Indra Nui is one that I can think of, and that's all I can think of right now. So very few at top-notch level where the decisions are taken, right? At that position, you do not find women. Very few and far in between. All right. So these are the things that we need to look into when we're looking at patriarchy. It is not just men controlling women. It's about how this whole system works. So I think I need to just also one of you please click the attendance, right? I need to stop my video so that we have a better internet connectivity here because we do not have any internet facility here in the campus. I'm struggling to find, this is my own phone net which somehow fluctuates on and off. So anyways, again, looking at patriarchy, हम लोग ये भी देखना चाहेंगे कि पेट्रियार्की जो है, अगर हमने बोल दिया कि कंस्ट्रक्ट है ये, और जेंडर रिलेशंस जो है वो बहुत डायनामिक हैं. जेंडर रिलेशंस जो हैं वो चेंज होते हैं, राइट? और ये बहुत कॉम्प्लेक्स है, गिवन फैक्ट नहीं है कि ऐसा ही होगा. तो इसका मतलब देयर इज अ स्कोप ऑफ चेंज. इसका मतलब देयर इज hope hai that women can be equal partners in society. There is hope, and I think ये worldwide ये recognition हो गई है. कितने UN में हम celebrate करते हैं, so many women international day हम celebrate करते हैं, girl child day, so many days we celebrate only in the recognition that we realize that it is important to do that. It is important to have an equal relationship. So another thing that we need to understand is that I want to tell you is that patriarchy is not, it's not a uniform thing. Every society according to its own culture. It's the way it operates is very different. So the nature of control and subjugation of women, how women are controlled, it actually varies from one society to other. हमको यहाँ बैठ के लगता है third world countries we think that women in the West are free, you know, वो free हैं, they are modern, but you know you
Yes,
don't
ma'am.
know the patriarchy over there operates in a different way altogether. So ये सोच लेना कि certain women like white women they're educated, they're modern, and women in the third world countries like India and Pakistan and Africa, these are the one who are suppressed. So I think it's a very it's a consideration which is erroneous. इसमें ये सही नहीं है, because what I want to tell you is that patriarchy, the way it functions, it varies from one society to other. Okay, and the difference happens because of the differences in the. Okay, just give me a minute, okay? मैम अभी आप क्लास के बाद मैं एप्लीकेशन लिख दूंगी हाल क्या मैं आप कहाँ हूँ नहीं ठीक है all right, so that was important. Coming back to the class, so yes, so what did I tell you? So I was discussing about the fact that patriarchy a uniform concept है, it operates, yes, all over the world, but the way it operates is different, and the differences lies in terms of class, caste, religion. So आपका religion, आपकी caste, आपकी class, आपका region, आपकी ethnicity, ये सोशो कल्चरल प्रैक्टिसेस, ये सब जो हैं बहुत फर्क है इसमें. जैसे मैं एक छोटा सा एग्जांपल देती हूँ. लेट्स लुक एट द क्लास ओनली. ओके, यू नो दैट द लोअर पीपल एट द लोएस्ट रंग ऑफ द सोसाइटी, women वहाँ पर, you know, you must have noticed that women are always working because they have to feed the family. You know, men are not working, or even if they're working, they're not so supported. These women from the lowest rung of the society, you see them very upfront, and they're always working, and they are the breadwinners of the society. Okay, and often the middle class we see that the women are not allowed, women, and this is a fact, because there has been a data saying that although, you know, the girls, their enrollment rate has increased, that means that the girls are getting educated, but then the same number of girls are not getting into the employment, they're not getting into the labor market. So what is it? What is happening then? Somewhere there is a gap. Women are not working. They're not, the same number of women who got educated are not getting the jobs. So ये क्या हो रहा है? What is the reason? One of the reason is the marriage. Once women get married, they sit back at home and they do not work, and they have studied, but they still do not. So what does this happen? Especially in the middle class, we see that happening. So you can see the difference in terms of the class, that how women in the lower class are independent in terms of working. They are making money on their own. They do not have a choice. They have to do this to support their family. Whereas in the middle class, we see women who are actually educated, yet they prefer to sit back at home and not work. So the class makes such a big difference in terms of your financial independence or interdependence. Are you getting the point? Am I? It was one example that just from the back of my head. Could be Purnima, you there, and Fezi was also there, right? So we have 5 students.
Yes,
Are you following me? Any doubts so far?
No, ma'am.
No doubt so far. Everything is clear. Is it risk?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you? I hope you're following where I'm trying to take the discussion. Because patriarchy को हम as a concept समझ रहे हैं, how it operates समझ रहे हैं. Yes, but
Ma'am, patriarchy is a social system in which man hold primary power. But ma'am, the main reason is, in my opinion, I think that due to this patriarchy comes due to hierarchy, and hierarchy is basically made through our religion. ये मैम religious से, क्योंकि हमारे religion में ही कुछ hierarchy बनी हुई है, कुछ classes बने हुए, that's why patriarchy. तो मेरे ख्याल से socially constructed तो है, लेकिन religion का सबसे बड़ा impact है मैम, क्योंकि रिलीजन की वजह से ये है पेट्रियार्की, और इसी वजह से शायद ये खत्म नहीं हो सकता, बिकॉज वी आर रिलीजियस पर्सन, और हम लोग रिलीजन पे बिलीव करते हैं, और हमारे रिलीजन में ही कुछ वो कास्ट जो हायरार्की का सिस्टम वो बना हुआ, एंड दैट्स व्हाई दिस पेट्रियार्की एग्जिस्ट. in our society.
All right. So thank you for bringing it up. I mean, I totally respect your sentiments. Okay. And that's why when I told you that it's a social concept, I did mention religion. Or religion is we're not talking about one particular religion. Okay. We're talking about all religions. All, at least all big religions that we know. Okay. They all somehow are patriarchal religions. There is no doubt about it. Okay. Now, this is a different discussion and debate altogether, in which I don't want to get right now. But yet, religion has a great role. Okay? Undoubtedly, religion is one of the major driving force, and also I would not shy away from telling you this, that the religion is often manipulated. Often, religion is exploited to oppress women. Okay, and this happens in all religion. I mean, it happens in Islam, it happens in Islam. You can just take the example of the triple talaq, how it is exploited. You know how it is actually ordained in the books and how it is actually practiced in real life. You know, there's a sea of difference, right? So religion is often used, and it happens in all religion, not just one religion. Sub-religions make religious, because religion, mostly the custodian of religions are men, right? They are the ones who are giving us the meaning, okay? And mostly the meaning that they get is the one that suits them the best, right? And that is why definitely religion has a lot to do with patriarchy, and they kind of both feed into each other. You have something to say, Parvez? You're looking very fidgety. It's okay. We can disagree. We're having a debate. We're having a discussion. We can disagree, but your point that patriarchy, religion is responsible, I totally agree with you, and that is why from the very beginning, when I said social, I mentioned religious, cultural, all this political. I mentioned that it is definitely there. But what I want to tell you is that often religious knowledge is exploited. Religion कुछ कहता है, but people उसको exploit भी करते हैं. It is exploited, and it is exploited because mostly women are not so well versed with the religious script. Okay, men are, right, in many cases. So women are not able to have their own understanding, right? And that is why it is so easy to exploit them, and it is so easy to manipulate them by using religion, as something which of course is unassailable, जिसके लिए कोई defense ही नहीं है. And obviously, it is the women who gets, what should I say, oppressed or exploited. And that's another discussion. We can have that discussion if you want. I can definitely, in fact, I have also written a paper. I can share it with you if you're more interested. The Zoom session tells me that it's about to expire. If there's any more question, I can take right now before you all vanish in thin air. Yes, Kuldeep, have you been there?
Yes, ma'am.
Pezin,
Yes, ma'am.
any questions so far?
Yes, ma'am.
No, ma'am, no questions.
No questions. So I hope you have understood what the points that I tried to teach today. I hope they're clear, and I'm going to, it's not the end, we're going to continue with patriarchy.
Yes.
Yes, Parvez?
Yes, ma'am. It is clear. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Pezin, tell me.
Yes, ma'am. It is clear.
What, beta? It's clear, you said.
Ma'am, it is clear.
All
Yes,
right.
ma'am.
So आपका homework ये होगा, and when I come back tomorrow, I want you to look into how patriarchy works in terms of, in terms of class struggle. Class struggle से मैं मतलब है, how does patriarchy interferes, or how does it influences the economics, the class struggle. Class
Okay.
उसमें patriarchy कैसे function करती है. I think that would be a very interesting aspect to discover, to understand, because it is something that is directly related to the grassroots level. So I hope you can इसमें थोड़ा सा read up करेगा. We're going to have this discussion, and we're also going to have one of the patriarchy and religion पर भी हम एक discussion करेंगे. All right. So
Okay.
that's only one aspect. So patriarchy is everywhere. So we just have to see how it operates. कैसे operate कर रही है? हर जगह, in all aspects of our society and lives. Cultures हो गए, छोटे छोटे customs ही हो गए अगर आप देखें. So it's the whole idea of, I mean, of course it is debatable, but why is it that the women have to fast for a long life of their husband? I mean, it's questionable. Someone can question, why not, why don't the men fast? I mean, of course you can defend it in terms of tradition and customs, but many customs, many traditions, they perpetuate the patriarchal convention. So, something to say, anything, Parvez? All
No,
right.
ma'am, it's clear.
Yeah, all right. Thank you so much. And
Thank you, ma'am.
that's right. So, someone take the attendance also, please. And I am going to end.
Thank you, ma'am. Take care, ma'am.
You too, everybody take care, stay safe, all right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right?
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Yes. And hopefully I'll have more students tomorrow, all right? Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye,
Bye,
ma'am.
ma'am.